We actually see the dung beetles as one of the key ingredients to a sustainable or regenerative farming system. Yeah, my name's Mick Alexander. My wife Nola and the two boys, we run an operation of around about 1,400 hectares in the Fitzroy Basin. We run anywhere from sort of 500 to 900 LSUs or animals annually, and we also background our cattle back into the community. So we process, and we've got a paddock to plate operation. Yeah, we actually began in about 2013 when my wife's dad, Trev Jones, passed away. He started a full reticulated watering system, so we pump out of the river, out of the Fitzroy, up to a hill, and then we gravity feed around every paddock. And he started that whole program off and then started breaking paddocks up. We just intensified that in the last 7 or 8 years. So what we've got now is we've gone from 11 paddocks to 80, and what we find is that any one paddock would only be being grazed for maybe a week to 2 weeks a year. The rest of the time it's resting. So that basically means that we've got this massive recovery period. We've got paddocks now that haven't had an animal in them for over 300 days. We operate 3 mobs generally, so we'll have a cow mob, or a breeder mob, sometimes a heifer mob, so maiden heifer, and then we'll have everything else, so young cattle, older cattle together. And the management is really simple because we've basically broken up the paddocks with electric fencing, and that fencing is fairly cheap to put in place. And when we find the paddocks are the right size and the right shape, we'll go back eventually and we'll replace those electric fences with permanents. Trevor's comment back in 2002-03 when we first started development, he said, "Something's wrong, Mick, it's just not working." We used to be able to run a lot more cattle for a lot more length of time, and he said the grass used to be that high you'd have to sit in a saddle to see over it, and now it's down to maybe a foot or maybe 2 foot high at the very best. So we started soil testing at that stage to find out the key indicators of low production. We found out that we've got simple things like a really out of whack calcium magnesium ratio. We apply lime on certain paddocks and all of a sudden we double the volume of feed. We've got low carbon levels, so what can we do about carbon? Well, we've got to get more plants growing, cycling more carbon back in. There was next to no legumes on the place 20 years ago. They'd all died out. And now we've actually got legumes in fact we've had hundreds of acres of just solid legumes last year, and native legumes. Phasey bean coming back that's never been seen for not my lifetime anyhow. There was very little dung beetle activity. There was a lot of hard pads everywhere you went. There was just hard pads not being buried on the ground. So in 2005 or 6, I think it was, we changed over to Attack and some of the backliner drenches from dips. And then in 2013, we made the big jump and we stopped drenching altogether. And from that point forward, our dung beetle population has just gone from just ticking along for a few months a year to just skyrocketed, and now we have beetle populations all year round. We actually see the dung beetles as one of the key ingredients to a sustainable or regenerative farming system. If we have that dung being buried so consistently, we're actually regenerating. Yeah, we've got cows and we've got grass and we've got this whole cycle working, but if we don't have carbon being sequestered back into the soil, we don't have a grazing system. It's the drought mitigation that we needed that we didn't know about. So if we can actually get carbon back in our soils, we can withstand droughts that anything that we went through in the last 2 years will still be going productively. When you hear the story that you have to grow more volumes of grass, well, you don't grow more volumes, you just have to have healthier plants that can pump more down. So we actually think of every time we graze a paddock, we're actually pumping carbon. That's the story of sustainability and regenerative farming. It's about getting the plant actively growing and pumping and cycling. Well, on production side, we're able to run consistently 700 or 800 head of cattle. Our actual numbers have come up consistently. Back in 2003, for the first time in history, every weaner was sent away on agistment. We just wouldn't even consider that today. And the country was bare. We had a worse drought in just 2019, and we didn't have a single bare paddock on the place. We destocked early and we kept our numbers to a point where we can rebuild fast. If you go back to 2000, 2005, in that era, it was taking 4 and 5 years to finish a steer on this country, We have some nutritional issues here, and we're actually balancing that a lot with the supplements. But in that era there was no supplementation used, and there was absolutely no knowledge of that we need to have grass consistently, solid ground cover. Today we're actually able to finish those same animals in 2 years, not 5, and we're able to now have good marbling levels. We're able to have an actual dressed weight of 62% dressing percentage, and we're having 560, 580 kilo animals dress at 300 kilos plus. We've just jumped the hurdle to work out we can do it, and we can actually make this into a highly productive operation. We know that the community is asking us for credentials. If we've actually got all of the tools to say that we're doing as good as we can, and we're actually leading an industry, then we'll have the ability to stay there. I would actually sit down first of all and find as much information as you can out from local people who are actually innovating, because there's nothing like finding local people to talk to because they're in your own area. Farmers right now are the new commodity of the future, and we need to all work together to actually make sure that the groups that are out there, the industry groups, actually know that we're actually able to achieve the goals.